Hello, everyone. Here it is, Heal with Gold, Wednesday night with Courtney Runyon, who is, when you come in, say hello. Let me know that you are here. Let me know where you're tuning in from. You can, hi Marina, if you guys are coming from my personal page or YouTube, you can feel free to share, invite your friends, text them to come over, because this is an amazing, amazing opportunity. I am just so happy, so excited to bring Courtney to the group. I have been following her for quite a bit now. Aloha salud, hello Marina. We're just very, very lucky to have her here. Hi Terry. I am going, hi everybody. I'm bringing her in. I'm going to let Courtney introduce herself. As you all know, as I shared in the beginning, that she became paralyzed, and she has an incredible journey, amazing lesson to teach us. So without further ado, here's Courtney.
Hi. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me in the group.
We're so excited to have you. I've been really waiting for this moment to share with the group your story. I've been following you for a while. Paul had introduced me to you.
Yeah.
In so many of your videos. I don't even care how long they are. Sometimes you speak for half an hour, 45 minutes, and I'm watching at 1 o'clock in the morning, and my husband tells me, I'm shutting down the light, I'm going to sleep, and said, hold on, I'm going to the bathroom. I need to finish watching this one.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, I know. I always mean for my videos to be like 5 minutes long, and they're never 5 minutes long. Like, I just can't. Yeah, and I don't even have like anything specifically planned out to talk about, but I usually have.
No, you have a lot. And you say, I'm going somewhere with this. I know, you're going to get there. You're going to get there. Okay. Paul, I am not everybody from Heal with Gold. You probably don't see my kintsugi background. It's because I'm in Gulfport. I am by Paul. And Paul introduced me to Courtney, so it's a lot of fun. Courtney, please share with us your story.
Yeah. So I was 32 years old. I'm 36 now. And when I was 32, I was like having the time of my life. Just, I love the word YOLO. You only live once. Some people hate that. I still think it's cool. But I was just YOLOing and living in Las Vegas. And my friends were kind of famous DJs. And I was back there. And I was in love. Like, it was like the love of my life. And had a great group of friends. You know, I meditated. I was vegan, or mostly vegan, plant-based. I drank detox teas in the morning, green smoothies. I walked to juice bars to get my green juice every day. Did yoga. I used to actually meditate to a meditation that practices gratitude for being able to walk. And which is hard to be grateful for walking. Like, I even remember thinking, like, I know I should feel lucky, but like, I'm more stressed about other stuff. It's hard to feel grateful for the basics. And my reason for telling you that little snippet is, like, I really thought I had a good job. I really thought I had life figured out. And I was like, life, I'm killing it. Like, I'm killing it. I'm so happy and, you know, dancing around. It's amazing. But I thought I was just doing what you're supposed to do. And I had a positive mindset and all the things. And then, you know, I think that's important, because a lot of people that get sick or they get depressed or anxious or any of these things, I think that culturally people give you the impression that it's your fault, that you didn't have a positive mindset enough, that you didn't meditate enough, that you didn't manage your stress well enough, like you did something wrong. And, you know, I thought I was doing, you know, all the things to prevent illness. And then my thumb went really numb and I got weaker like overnight. And hey, Dad. And eventually I got so sick, I moved in with my parents. That's where I am right now. But I did just move to Cabo San Lucas. I'll get to that in a second. So I started getting weaker, and then I lost feeling in my leg. And one morning I got up on the treadmill and I started trying to run, and it was like having 100-pound vest on. Like, and I had no spring in my step. Sorry for the background noise. And anyway, so I finally started to go see a doctor, a neurologist, and they couldn't figure out what was going on. And, long story short, which I can kind of fill in as we talk, I basically got paralyzed from the neck down, and I couldn't feed myself, itch myself, dress myself, none of these things. And I had to, move back to Texas with my family so they could wipe me and all the good stuff, all the stuff that you want to do to your 33-year-old daughter.
Were you completely shocked? I mean, this is not something that you hear so often. Like, what were you thinking? Did you think this is a forever thing? What types of tests were you doing at the time to discover what you had?
Yeah, well, I think it's also another common trait, at least, the people I've spoken to that have good attitudes or positive mindsets. When things start to happen, initially you think, I don't know what this is, but it'll go away. I'll be fine. Like it'll be okay. And then after that, it's like once you realize something's wrong, you start to. Sorry, let me move into the living room. Sorry about this. Okay. No, I know. Okay. Hashtag quarantine. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. So it's like first you think you don't know what it is, but it'll go away. And then you think, well, something's really wrong, but I'm going to make a full raging recovery and it's going to be awesome. Like I'm going to be even stronger than before and it's going to be amazing. And so I had all those same thoughts. And I mean, there is the crash, like whenever you start losing your life as you know it starts slipping through your fingers. There is a crash there. I remember falling to the floor one night, crying to my boyfriend at the time. And I was just like, I don't want to be crippled. Like I'm becoming crippled. Like I'm 32 years old and I can't open, jars. I can't lift my arm. I can barely wash my hair. My boyfriend was having to dry me off with towels because the towels were too heavy in my hand. I was like, I don't know what's happening. I was like, but my body's losing control. But
I can't even imagine. So at some point you were diagnosed with ALS, right?
More or less. So, it's interesting, and we're just this way. All human beings are this way. You see the world through your own eyes and your own perspective based on your own experiences. Pretty simple, and that's understandable, and it's no big deal. So I think the thing that people forget when they start going to see doctors is that they're just human beings with their own experiences and their own perspectives, and they see the world based on what they've learned in their life. That's okay. That's simple. So when you go to a doctor like I did, who specializes in ALS, everyone has ALS. That's what they see. And he was certain I had ALS for about a month. And what was kind of too bad for me is in my EMG and nerve conduction studies, two of the tests that they do to test how your nerves are working, I showed an ALS pattern. So it's like this guy already, specializes in ALS, and then I'm giving him all the reasons to think I have ALS. So I wasn't technically diagnosed because we hadn't gotten the spinal tap back, but that was certainly the way that they were leaning.
And the knowledge, I mean, that could be crushing.
Yeah.
Okay, so it wasn't a formal diagnosis, but the thought, how did you manage to stay in good spirits?
Yeah. There's like, I almost thought at one time I was going to write a book called 26 Answers to That Question, because there's just so many reasons, but definitely having, I guess one of the main things is I just believed it was temporary. I was just like, this is temporary. So I hung on to that, knowing that it's okay to be weak. It's okay to be, paralyzed. It's okay to be living with my parents at 33. It's okay to have these things happen, because in the future's of this, all this amazing stuff has already happened too. I just haven't gotten there yet. So this is okay right now because it's just temporary. And then one day I'm going to get to all that other really, really cool stuff. So I can have a lot of fun with this now because it's not forever. But also just like having a really good, solid support system and love is just like so important. And I really got a lot of that out of my Facebook page, because I was so open and shared so much there that I got so much, good feedback from that, and having a good, solid support system that you feel like, you know what, like I'm okay just as I am. Like I'm still worthy of love just as I am, was also a really, really strong source of joy and positivity.
I have to tell you, I so understand that. The people that you meet on Facebook, when you are in a closed group or in a, the same people show up all the time, you start to get to know the people. You start to find out about them. And then you become family. And then it becomes a true support. And I so see that with my group as well. I mean, there are so many people that I'm so grateful to have them in my life, from that constant contact and they getting to know each other and that support. I saw a video of yours where you were wearing bunny ears. Fun. So at what point and how did it happen? How did that start, that you started dressing up for therapy?
Well, okay, that was actually a really pivotal moment for me in my entire journey, as we all have them, But I was at the therapy gym and I was staring at the floor and I was feeling, I would say numb. I was feeling numb and not feeling much of anything. And there was this Japanese woman, and she was so cute, and she was in the therapy gym, and she was just like laughing, and she was with her family, and they came to visit, and she just like was exuding joy. And I looked at her and I thought, God, like that's so me. That's so much more me than staring at the floor without emotion. And I was mostly paralyzed from the neck down at this point. But the therapist came in and I was like, hey, could you take me to my room for a minute? So she rolled me back in there and I got out these costume ears that my friend Raquel gave me that I had, and I put them on my head. And I was like, I'm going to choose it. I'm going to choose joy. And so it was interesting because everyone we went back into the gym, like almost forgot I had them on my head for like the rest of the day. But everyone I rolled past looked at me and started laughing. And then I'd be like, oh, yeah. So then it made me laugh. And it was just like, I changed somehow by just putting these costume ears on my head. I changed the energy of the environment everywhere I went just by putting something on my head. And like, by putting those in my head and like kind of changing my own environment a little bit, it's like people that walk by me, seeing their smiles and their laugh made me smile and laugh. It was like a reflection. And that can be said, you don't have to put on costume ears. That could be like a metaphor, like a symbol of like whatever you're wearing on yourself, like in your own, what you're bringing to the room, like will be reflected off of the people that pass you. And then it just, you feed off of each other. And that happened with my Facebook too. It's just like whatever I put out there on Facebook, I got back, and it was just like we were reflecting each other like a ping pong ball. So like we certainly had like, it was just astonishing to me that in an instant, by just putting something in my head, it just completely changed the energy of everywhere I went. So anyways, from that point on, I just I just put the most ridiculous stuff on my head. My favorite was this green wig. And one day we went in the therapy gym and there was this older lady in there, and she looks at her therapist and she's like, did you see the girl with the green hair? And I just like couldn't stop laughing. And then one day my friends, I threw a costume party, and like it was like 5 of us walked in with this like boom box saying walk it out, because I just learned to walk. And we were all in costumes, and there was this like guy on one of the rehab machines, and I have it on video. It's one of my favorites, where you see him look over and he sees us walking in like in costumes. He's like, And it's like, oh my God, I could not stop laughing that day. And I was living in a nursing home. Like there's ways to really, really like have fun and laugh. You just have to kind of figure it out.
But this is such an amazing lesson. I mean, how easy it is to make that switch. You just need to be creative. It's fantastic. So this nursing home, was it more a rehabilitation place, or was it literally an old age home? What?
I mean, it was a skilled nursing home, but it also had assisted living.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was definitely, I stood out. That's for sure. It wasn't. Yeah, that's an emotion. You and I, before we started this call, kind of touched on just the different emotions that you go through. And I remember the first, like I went in to go, I've had all kinds of needles and pricks and pokes and IVs and things hanging out of my neck and, all the things. But the first time I got a line put in, this time it was a PICC line, but I've had other lines. I got the PICC line in and I was sitting in there and I looked around and I was just like, I don't belong here, but yet I'm here and I do belong here. Like this, but it's just that shock of going from being the healthy person to a different community of people that are not well. And it's like, wow, I can't believe this is where I am right now.
And I think it's interesting that when you started your story, you started with you having the juices, eating a vegan diet, meaning you can't express that health, right? You were detailing somebody who was actually very careful about the health.
Oh.
And then,
sorry, go ahead.
No, the juxtaposition of what happened, because there are people that smoke and are overweight and are not. That wasn't your case. That wasn't your situation. My husband had a stroke, and if you look at him, he's like half my size. He's thin. He always ate healthy. He was always very conscious about no sugar. And then he has a stroke, and we find out that he has diabetes, that he has hypertension. But if you look at him, you would never think that, and the shock was that it's just a position of the behavior that the person was so health conscious, and then that person is the one that has to deal with a health issue. So it's tough because you were the person who were taking care of yourself, and then so I think that it's even worse. I think that when people don't take care of their health and then they suffer something, there's a little bit of like, okay, I'm paying for the consequences of my behavior. But for you, it's like, where did this come from?
Well, but to build on that, this is an interesting thing in my situation that I hope you guys listening take to heart. Because I talk to so many people that are going through different health conditions, and it's such a common problem that I think is really underrated and not given enough attention. So, I was doing all those things and I thought I was taking really good care of myself and everything. And I was really happy. I really, really was. And I am now for different reasons. That's how life works. It's fun. There's different ways to be happy. But I was really stressed. I was doing everything. I was traveling all the time, working all the time, definitely playing and partying and having fun and like working out. And like, I was just like nonstop something. And, also my relationship at the time, super happy, but very stressful. He put a lot of financial stress on me because he didn't like to work. And that was stressful. And then I was in a city that I moved to, not because I wanted to, but, I was there for my boyfriend at that time, but it wasn't where I really wanted to live. And I was in a job that was awesome, but we got bought out. And once the company was taken over, it was chaos. It was like, it's chaos. Like, it was just like, I'm sure some of y'all been through that, like a transition when your company, gets new ownership. I mean, it's just, so it was all this stuff going on. But I was doing everything under the sun to get better. Even after I got diagnosed, medication wasn't working. It was crazy. And I was by the Mayo Clinic. It wasn't just some small, and nothing was working. I kept getting sicker and sicker and sicker. And I got to the point where my colon and my lungs and my face were starting to go. My paralysis was gradual. It's not like, it wasn't like an accident. It's like they start to just wither away. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, wow, like I'm about to not be able to breathe and swallow and go to the bathroom. And I had already lost my voice. I couldn't speak very well. And I was just like, wow. And I was like, why am I not getting better? Like I'm doing everything. I'm doing all the alternative treatments, all the Western medicine. Why am I not getting better? So the day I was getting discharged from the hospital, paralyzed from the neck down, doctor said there was nothing else they could do, but we can just hope that something works in the next few weeks. I was just like, okay. So I broke up with my boyfriend, and it was a hard choice, but I was like, you're stressing me out. Like I can't take care of me and you right now. I can't. And I started improving 2 days later, and I've only improved since. So there's something to be said about, you can't heal in the same environment that made you sick. And I think that's really important to understand. And sometimes I think when people relapse, is it that the illness came back, or is it that the bad habits that caused the illness to begin with came back?
Wow.
So yeah, I think that a major part of my healing, because I get asked that often, is like, you were doing everything and nothing worked. Like what finally worked? I did do a different treatment, which was plasma exchange. Doesn't matter. But part of me is like, was it because what was causing me emotional inflammation, which is a thing that is really underrated. People talk about diet, but what about the emotions that cause inflammation? There's some emotions that actually change the chemical makeup of your blood and your hormones. They make you feel crazy. And this emotional inflammation can make you really, really sick. And we tend to not look at we'll look at our diet, we'll look at our medication, and we'll understand we're stressed. We'll do a 10-minute meditation, try that out. But we really don't take a really good look at our life and say, okay, what is causing me emotional inflammation? What is causing havoc on my body in my life? And
I'm going to tell you something. You're talking directly to me.
Sorry.
Guys. You're talking directly to me because I am going through so much stress, and I have been really spending some time in the last 2 weeks analyzing how I'm feeling. How am I feeling physically when there is stress with the factory? How am I feeling when I need to make sales calls? And I hate to make sales calls because I don't like to be pushy, and I don't like to convince people to do something that they don't want to do. So I started developing all kinds of, like, my mouth started burning, and I'm Googling, like, my mouth is burning, and there is something called a burning mouth syndrome.
What?
Yes, I'm telling you, it is crazy. My mouth burns almost all the time, and like the lips and inside. And I'm Googling that because I'm thinking I'm going crazy. It's a crazy feeling. It's almost like you ate soup that was too hot.
Yeah.
And you burned the whole inside, but it's like that all the time when you don't have anything.
Yeah.
So it's stress related. It flares from stress. And lately I've noticed, but I'm started to pay attention, and I started to kind of catalog when I get it worse. What are the activities that I was doing just before it was worse? And it's what you're talking about, stress. We're being killed by stress. What, stroke is not stress related? Like all of these diseases that we're suffering right now, so many of them, heart issues, breathing issues, asthma, allergies, eczema, so much is causing stress. So I feel like you're talking to me, like a whole lot of other people here with us, but I almost feel like this conversation was like for my personal benefit.
Well, that's what I mean. That's why I kind of started it by saying, like, it's underrated, but it's so common. And like I talk to like I said, I talk to so many people that are going through different health stuff. It's like, I do it all day. But I'll ask them like, okay, let's trace this back. Like, and anyways, once we peel back the layers of like what was going on in their life when their symptoms started, whether it was a relapse or like the first onset, is like usually stress in a relationship, which I know is different than what you're saying, but just, to everybody else, it's like, that if they're fighting with their mom, or their mom got really sick, or, they're having trouble with their spouse, or they're going through a divorce, or they just got cheated on, like some kind of heavy thing like that, or like their daughter died, or, some kind of intense stress from someone you love. And that's common to trigger illness, unfortunately. So like it is really important to choose. This sounds like a bumper sticker, but it really is important to choose love and kindness and forgiveness. Like your health depends on it, and your quality of life depends on it. And I'm not saying that will prevent everything, but it certainly doesn't help when we harbor anger and resentment or hurt.
So how are you handling now? Like you changed your life completely, meaning, right? Yeah. Tell me, like, how are you feeling now? You walk.
Yeah.
You walk.
I know. I should have said, like, I don't want to spoil the ending, but I can walk now. And I actually, when I was in the hospital and I was, I feel like, I was at my worst. I was thinking, oh my gosh, like there's so many different things that I didn't do that I always wanted to, and just had them on the back burner. And one of them was a 500-mile hike called the Camino de Santiago. And it's a 500-mile hike across Spain. And I always wanted to do it. It's like, everybody said it's like the coolest thing. And I'm, like a world traveler type of person. And I'm just like, man, and now I can't walk. So that was always the goal, that I was like, as soon as I'm strong enough, I'm going to go walk that freaking hike. And I did at the end of, or towards the end of 2019, I hiked 500 miles across Spain. And then in January, I completed a 120-hour hatha yoga intensive, which was super hard because my balance, I still have disabilities and my balance and everything, but I still did it. And now I've just moved to Cabo San Lucas to start my life over, I guess. But I hate that phrase, because the thing is, your life never stops. Like, I've heard a lot of people say, oh, I want to get my life back. And I'm like, well, where'd it go? Because you're living, to me, it looks like you're still living. Like, it's not that we lose a life or that we start life over. It's just, life's just constantly changing, and it's all our life, and it's all different parts of our experience, and different ways to kind of explore what it is to be a human. And I'm reading that book, Untamed by Glennon Doyle. I really like it, but something she says I really loved is like, we feel broken a lot of times. Like, people feel broken, like something happened, you feel like you're broke, but by definition, broken means something that is not functioning the way it's meant to function. And the way a human being is meant to function is to feel, not to feel happy, but to feel everything, to feel every emotion at some point in their life. Like, that is living life to the fullest. And that is living your life to its fullest potential, is by exploring and experiencing everything that you are able to feel and be capable of. So it's just like, it's all our life. It's not like you need to get your life back or start life over. It's just, you're just going in and out of different ways, different parts of your life and parts of you. But
you need a kind of positive attitude that you have. I mean, your mindset is in a good place. It's strong enough. Even when you go down, it's because it's never constant, right? You have hard moments. Everybody has hard moments. But if you overall, you're strong, you pull yourself out of that pit.
Yeah.
And say, it's okay to be not okay for a little bit of time, but now I have to go back, right? And live and experience all of it. The
Yeah.
problem is that so many of us don't have this strength, or they don't have the family support, or they don't have the friends, or maybe they're too shy to reach out in a social gathering for support. And I think that that's why it's so important to have those places like my group, like your page, like
Yeah.
Paul's page, like other people's pages, where people see that they can become authentic, that they can show themselves, they can show up
Yeah.
where they are, and there's going to be other people who are going to help them lift them up, because
I
some
mean,
people need help.
yeah. There's so much pressure to be perfect and to be skinnier and more successful and have a good body, and and when your body malfunctions, it's like there's a sense of shame a little bit that can happen. But there's nothing to be ashamed of because it's all an accident. It's not on purpose. There's no bad intentions. So, like, you shouldn't feel ashamed for something that you had no bad intentions of it happening. But it's like there's so much pressure to be perfect, and it's nice to be in groups like this or my page or whatever. It's nice to be somewhere where people are being authentic and honest and being like, I'm not perfect, but that's okay.
Yeah.
And you're not perfect, and that's okay too. And like, just because this thing happened or your life changed or you have this illness or your husband had a stroke or whatever it is, like, that's okay. Like, you're still cool. You're still a rock star. In fact, I told this guy that I'm kind of dating, and I can say that in this private group, that he has a spinal cord injury. But he's so sweet and he's cool and he has a good attitude. And, I told him one day, I said, and he used to be like basically like semi-pro snow sports person. And I told him, I'm like, you can't do that anymore. I said, one of the most attractive things to me about you is your accident, is your spinal cord injury, is the fact that you walk slow and can't get in your tippy toes and you're still smiling. That makes you hot. And like, there's something to be said about how beautiful you can be. Like, that thing that happened, that trauma, that illness, that thing that sucked, like that divorce, that losing your job. Like, there's something to be said about this, or abuse or whatever, like this trauma that happens. And when you can love yourself anyways, it makes other people freaking love you. Like, wow.
You're reminding me about an interview that I did. This young girl from Orlando. She lives in England now. She was born with only one arm. The other arm, it's like ends about here. Mm-hmm. And she married this Brit who was in a car accident.
You said a Brit?
Brit, an English guy.
Oh, good accent.
And he lost an arm from here, and he lost a leg. And she told me something so beautiful, because her whole story is beautiful, but she shared with me how they sit and they touch each other on the cut limbs, where it was cut, where she said, because so many people, they don't want to touch it, they feel like, awkward. And she actually told me that skin itself is very soft, and it's such a personal thing that they love each other so much that they can touch, where they don't have the limbs. And I thought that it's such a tiny fraction of their story, it's like something so little, but I could envision them sitting in the sofa and caressing themselves in that place where, in a way, it seemed like they're not whole, but they are whole as they are,
Yeah.
It's a number. I was very emotional when she told me that, because I felt that we all have that part of ourselves that are cut off,
That's what I was thinking the whole time you were saying that.
Yeah, we all have something that is that it's broken or cut or not normal, and almost like some people, they want to distance, they don't want to talk about it, they don't want to ask about it, because like, oh, I better not touch that part of their life. But sometimes that is the part that you want people to touch, that's when you're the most intimate with your friends or your loved one, is when that there is that caressing in that brokenness and that part that is different.
Yeah.
And so what you said about him, how you feel that his brokenness is the part that in a way appeals to you the most
Yeah.
because it's authentic and it's real and genuine, raw, amazing. Wow, I really had goosebumps. So how are you working now? How are your hands? Can you type on the computer? Can you?
No. No, I mean, I can peck with like my knuckle or something, but okay, so these are my hands.
Mm-hmm.
You can see the muscle atrophy, and they're clawed. So I have my ulnar nerve never really recovered.
Mm-hmm.
And your ulnar nerve is what you need to spread your fingers apart,
Mm-hmm.
and to be able to, like, I can't
Open it.
like I can't do, so I can't even, but yeah, so I can't really write with a pen or a pencil. I can't type in a computer.
Mm-hmm.
Those are probably the two most annoying things. But, and I went through my time period of being really insecure about the way they looked. But now I just think it's an introduction to a really good story.
Wow, yeah.
And that's what scars are. Scars are like, show that you have substance, and there's something that you have to say and talk about, and like something that is worth telling and showing. And
listen, you know that I'm crazy about kintsugi, which is the Japanese art of mending pottery with gold and making sure that the scars are visible, because that's the whole point of kintsugi. Because when something breaks, there are ways that you can kind of glue it and put it back together and hide that it had ever been broken. But in Japanese culture, part of their philosophy is that the brokenness is beautiful. You highlight it. It's like a gold medal for have lived it,
It is a freaking gold medal.
it is something to be proud of and to show off, like when you're kids and you get a scar and you get stitches, you show off and you're kind of like, I have a bigger scar than you. And then as you get older, you try to hide those scars. But this is proof that you lived fully and that you had like such an experience that have so many messages. And we have to add the gold, spread the gold, share the gold.
Something, and sorry, this just made me think of this, but something else I think is important to grasp when you are healing or you have a scar, is like whatever you think about it, like whatever you feel about yourself and feel about your situation is how other people are going to see it too. But it starts with you. Like, I've heard some people, they think this, they think this, they think this. I'm like, do they think it or do you think it? Because if you're the one that's thinking it, not only are you going to project it on people, but other people are going to sense that for you and they're going to see it too. Like, for example, if I can't tell you how many people have been like, Courtney, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, about what? And there's this sense of like, oh, at least I'm not Courtney. And the thing is, I think I'm cool. Like I even with everything that happened, like I still would choose to be myself. Like I don't see myself as like, I'm like, why wouldn't you want to be me? What? Because I've got these hands. Like, but that's how I view myself. And because I do, very quickly, like anybody that had that, I'm so sorry, doesn't feel sorry for me anymore. In fact, they're like, oh, yeah, okay, well, she's rocking it. She's cool. Maybe it is kind of cool. Maybe that is kind of awesome. And I'm like, yeah, it is kind of awesome. Like what you think is what other people will think, but it starts with you. It does.
Well, we're all energy, right? And we're energy. What we put out is energy. What people receive from us is energy. If we put out a negative energy about ourselves, that's what they're going to see.
Yeah.
And then if we think positive, I always say, I gained so much weight lately. And I tell everybody, I gain weight. You know what? I give the best hugs. They're cozy. They're not bony. It's all in. I'm going to be fat anyway. I might as well enjoy the fact that I give the coziest hugs, because otherwise, I'm going to feel sorry for myself, and I don't want anybody feeling sorry for me. Yeah. They were all real Oreos. They were very good, that, it is what it is. But yeah, people tend to receive whatever you put out.
Yeah.
That's how they see you. And I think that but I think that it's more than that. I think that when people see your attitude and when people see how you embraced your situation, they start embracing their own situation also,
Yeah.
because it almost becomes like, oh, you can handle that, I can handle, so then I can handle my stuff. If you
Yeah.
can handle that, yours seems to me worse. So if you can handle, and it brings everybody up with you. When I talk to you, I'm like, I need to go and stop and get myself some bunny ears.
Good.
It's bringing me up, and it's forcing me to look at creative ways to bring more joy. I mean, I'm a joy junkie as it is. I'm
Oh,
always,
I love that. Joy junkie. That's cute.
yeah. I told my kids I want to write my next book. It's going to be called The Adventures of a Joy Junkie. So I told them, well, but now I need the adventures. I am a joy junkie, but in order to make it like a really fun reading, I need to make the adventures happen. So that is one of my
Yeah,
goals.
everybody loves adventures.
Yeah, right. You need to create, but I guess every adventures is very particular. You wanted to have an adventure and walk 500 miles through Spain.
Yeah.
Me, an adventure could be something completely different. For people have different bases. What for them is an adventure? Some of them is very physical. Some is very intellectual. I want to interview more people. For me, an adventure, when I talk to you, for me, that's an adventure. No, seriously, because first of all, I'm learning so much. You're teaching me so much. With everybody that I interview, I ask certain questions and I take notes afterwards of what were the lessons that I learned from that conversation, from that interaction. And for me, that is an adventure because I'm going a little bit into your world. I'm
Yeah.
getting out of my world, my comfort zone, and I'm going into yours. And I'm experiencing a little bit as an empath. I feel it. I get goosebumps when you say certain things. My heart, beats faster when depending on what you're saying. And for me, that's an adventure. So I guess everybody has their own types of adventures. But
Yeah. And that's good to understand because sometimes people think like, oh, well, I'm not traveling or I'm not interviewing people. And it's like, but that's okay. Like that doesn't mean you have to do that to be successful in your journey. Like, or that's the avenue, the path for you to happiness. Like that it's important to understand that what helps someone or what's good for one isn't good for all. And we can look to each other for inspiration, but not comparison.
Not comparison, not copying. Exactly. I'm so inspired by people, but not necessarily I want to, follow on their path. But I think that something that's very important is to see how other people react to certain situations and learn from those experiences so we can say, okay, so how did she use, her adversity for growth? And then apply that into our lives. I've seen a lot of people that have, because they stayed in a victim mode. They stayed waiting for somebody to save them. Life is unfair. This shouldn't have happened to me.
Yeah.
You could have said, I did all the right things. I was young. I was good. I was a good person. Why did this happen to me? And then they say, well, people owe me. I need somebody to come and get me out of this place. And then I see other people who are saying, you know what? This is my life. I'm the owner of my life, of what's going to happen, my next chapter, and I have some control over it. I have choices to make. I have decisions to make. And then when you talk to more people and you listen to more people, like now, like today, in all these opportunities, you learn and you say, how can I learn? What can I implement in my life to become a little bit more like her? And I loved how you found a way to be creative. And that thing that you said, because you saw that the Japanese woman choosing to be happy. But this is exactly what I'm saying, is that when we're exposed to other people, we see things that before in our own little corner of our world, we wouldn't have known what to do. But when we have to have our eyes open. We have
Yeah.
to have our soul open. We have to be willing and wanting to learn from other experiences from other people.
Yeah.
What's next for you?
Well, I've spent the past 3 years devoting all of my energy, and I mean financial energy, physical energy, my time to like doing the best I could to improve the condition of my body. And I wasn't perfect, but I tried about as hard as I could. And, now that investment is not having much of a return. It doesn't seem how hard I try, my hands are doing their thing. And I also have some trouble walking and, because of my foot drop and stuff. So this year I'm going to invest that, energy into, my contributions, my business, my, what do I want to do that I love? Like, what do I want to do to be a part of society and the ways that I can contribute the best? And I'll be driving down to Mexico to Cabo San Lucas, and that's where I'll be living the next year. And I'll be I'll be throwing retreats because travel has been a part of my healing path. So I want to create the space for that. And it's so fun. And then I'm starting an online membership community that I'll be, group coaching and doing stuff like that. And so those will be my two primary things.
What was the business that you were before when you had that hectic job that was stressful? What were you doing then?
I was in sales. I was working sorry, the doggies just got back from the rock. I was working for companies selling construction materials, piping, like ductile iron pipe. And it was cool because I covered the Southwest of the United States. So I traveled like to Hawaii and California and Arizona and all these fun places and, took people to dinner and just stuff like that. So it was really fun. I loved it, but it really wasn't, I didn't feel like, it certainly felt like a job and not, something that was like my reason for being here.
Yeah, a calling. It wasn't your calling. I listened recently to a lecture by Dr. John DeMartini. Do you know him?
Mm-mm.
Oh my God. Listen to him. He speaks about when you live congruent with your high value, when figuring out your highest value, because we all have values, right? We all have things that are important for us. But then he was explaining about the difference between just a regular value and figuring out what's your highest value. And when you live that highest value, you're living with purpose and meaning. And I 100%, I know without a speckle of a doubt that when I went through adversity and then I found kintsugi and I went through my healing and I changed completely my life as far as work, I changed from having a job, from having a work, even though I loved it, to something that it's just a passion. It's just the reason why I'm on the planet. But I had to go through my life to be able to get to here, and you had to go through yours to become a coach and to start do retreats and all of that. You wouldn't have started otherwise.
Yeah. And, I think that we're all guilty of this. We try to think our way in and out of things. Like if we just think about it enough and let our mind go in circles, then we'll find it. And it's just like the way you find your path is by walking.
Yeah, it finds us. It calls us. It hits us in the face, like really like a smack. I'm here. You didn't find it by yourself, so
yeah,
it finds us, right? But do you plan coming back to the U.S. after this year, or you don't know yet? You're gonna one step at a time.
I don't know. I love that idea of being able to. Who doesn't love this idea? But being able to live and work from anywhere in the world. So who knows? But I did one of the, silver linings or really great things about my paralysis was that I did move back to Texas with my family and I did reconnect with them instead of just running around the world doing whatever. And So I would like to grow roots, closer to my family. So really, I think Austin, Texas is where I'll, eventually end up. But Cabo is a really nice, slower paced, kind of isolated, kind of relaxing place to kind of come out of hiding or start transitioning into whatever's next.
Fantastic. And distressing, probably.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to have to manage my stress levels the rest of my life. I mean, it's what triggered my symptoms. I don't think I even mentioned that. It's actually what triggered, for my diagnosis, typically there's something that triggered it. It could be a viral infection, or stress. And mine was stress. I had a really stressful 2 weeks. And then getting rid of stress is what helped me heal. So that's, something that is, my life depends on managing stress. So
it's an autoimmune disease, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I'm in remission. I'm off of all medication, and I don't appear to have active autoimmune. So that's very challenging to be able to get in remission off of all medication and get your autoimmune managed. So that's good stuff. But, I don't want to relapse.
No, so happy for you. I want to open for questions. If anybody has a question for Courtney, I'm going to look a little bit at what the comments, because there has been a lot of comments.
Oh, thanks.
But I haven't put them up. The reason why I don't put them up is because I don't want to distract you from speaking, and you lose your train of thought when Paul went to sleep, I guess.
Good night, Paul.
I mean, his house, he passed through. But anybody has a question for Courtney, now is your time. We're so lucky that she came and shared her story with us.
Thanks, Melissa. Thanks, Salud. Virus, I've not heard of the re-engineering program.
I guess he hasn't gone to sleep yet.
What's up, dude? I'm loving the background. You. Thank you so much.
2 for 1. 2 for 1.
You're so
Straight up.
I'm going to be in Cabo in February.
When? February what? Thank you, Jerry.
The month.
For the month? You're going to be there for the whole month?
Yes.
I'll be there for sure.
Yep.
I didn't know that.
Yep, that's okay.
What are you going down to Cabo for the month for?
Relax, restore, and reflect.
Amen.
I told you that's a good place for you to go to distress. So following you there.
Well, I'd love to meet you and spend time with you in February. I'll be there for most of the month.
Good. I stay at the same place at the Cabo Hilton. I stayed there a year after my stroke with
cool.
a month, and was really good. So
yeah, cool. I don't know where that is. Do you know what it's next to?
Between Cabo and San
Jose del Cabo?
Yes, thank you. It's Golden Beach Hilton Cabo.
Yeah. Okay.
Courtney, look at this one. I love the one when you were walking with the therapist and you had a rose in your mouth and you're getting ready.
Oh my God, I was laughing so much.
People follow you, and you see how you put a video like that and you have absolutely no idea the impact that you make on people.
Yeah.
And
oh my gosh.
I actually spoke to somebody about it. I have a friend of mine, and she's a hypnotherapist, and I told her that one of the fears that I have is that I won't be able to, that my voice is not loud enough, and not by the physical voice, but that I'm not the popular type of a person that has a million people around. It's just not my personality. I'm more on the introvert side. I do better in smaller groups, but I always have this feeling of, will I attain what I want to attain, right? I want to spread this message loud. I want to affect so many people. And I have that feeling that I won't be able to. So she did a hypnotherapy session with me. But aside from the hypnotherapy, she spoke to me about the domino effect. And she said, you have all the dominoes and it's long and wide, You just need to hit one domino. You just need to you can affect only one person, and you will never know the effect that you will have. And how many people you're going to so she was telling me like that I may not find out how loud my voice was,
okay.
but that you need to believe. And the same thing with you see how somebody in this group saw your video and remembers in detail what was happening then. You have no idea who watched it, what it meant to them, how it affected their lives.
That's how I found her. Yeah.
Right?
Watch the video.
The power of the storytelling, what you're doing and the work that you're doing, and that you're going to be teaching people how to tell their stories. This is incredible. So kudos for you. I'm so inspired. I really hope that we can stay in touch beyond this one opportunity here.
Smile.
And I'm feeling a little bit left out with this whole Cabo thing. I just slightly jealous.
Everybody's doing it.
Take your husband and go. Come with, as my mom used to say. Yes. Come with.
Yes. Let me just scroll down to see if anybody put, I guess, your voice is great. I don't even know.
I know. I love your accent.
I taught her how to talk.
Oh, you did? Oh.
Courtney, thank you. You are a soul. You are so amazing. You are really, really, really special to so many.
Thank you.
I was happy to be able to do the show from here and to have Paul join us.
I know, me too. I love Paul. Both of you are awesome. So thank you for inviting me. I'm complimented. Thanks for hanging out with me in this group to anyone watching.
My pleasure. And do me a favor, Courtney. Please send me after the show all your contacts, your pages, your membership, because I always share in the group how to reach out to the people who speak. If they're interested, they can always follow up with you.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. Thanks for asking.
And everybody, I wish you a great night. Thank you for another amazing, amazing show. Thank you for showing up and coming and staying till the end. I love all of your comments. I'm sure Courtney is going to go afterwards, and I'll go afterwards and read all of your comments. Paul is misbehaving, but that's okay. Thank you all so much. Until next time. Bye.
See ya.